So, grand rising loungers. I hope everybody is doing as great as I am today. I'm sorry that I'm so late today. I'm usually on here much earlier, but I had some things I had to do this morning. So now that I've got some time, I am going to sit back and give you guys the tea, okay? Because there's a lot of things that have taken place this week. We've got stuff that happened with Jaguar Wright, with her husband, and his interview on the Real Life Productions or Street Life podcast. We also have what's going on with Larry Reid. And shout out to King Payne, the official King Payne. He was discussing this last night. And what he talked about was kind of a bombshell in proving that Larry Reid has, in fact, been lying in regards to Levantre. So we're going to go over those facts real quick. And then we're going to talk about some sector topics. There's a lot of stuff that's been going on around the sector. And there is a particular thing that came up, two things in the sector that came up that I want to discuss. So we're going to get right into those things. But again, shout out to you guys for checking it out. Make sure that you guys are hitting the like button. And always, for those who are catching the replay, make sure that you guys are doing the same, okay? So let's go ahead and get right into these topics.
It's Black Lounge Entertainment, and the time is right with T-Pre.
So everybody's Jaguar Wright. Everybody has been talking about this woman, and rightfully so. Okay, I mean, there is a whole lot going on with her. I want to start from the beginning where we first left off, where Goomba was going to be going on Street Life Productions and discussing some things with them. So he did his interview, and I was actually pleasantly surprised with the interview. I thought he was going to go off on Jaguar and talk a whole bunch of trash about her, and he didn't really do that. He definitely talked about Solar a lot, which I expected him to do, but he talked about Solar almost in a sense like as if he's coming from a space of jealousy. Understandable. This is her husband. They're married. You know, they have a spiritual connection, so I can understand why he would feel the way that he does about Solar. I do think that Solar was overstepping his boundaries. I think that a lot of times Solar tried to jump in and be in a space where he should not have been, in regards to Jaguar and her husband. And I think that her husband had every single right to stand up for those things, okay? It wasn't so much his interview that got me, because again, Goomba's going to be Goomba. We all know that he's kind of animated. He's Jaguar's husband. You know, both of them are very animated people and very outspoken people. So the things that he was doing in this interview, like pulling out the gun and all that stuff, I wasn't very surprised about, right? What did get me was after the interview, okay? And when Jag was released from the hospital, and how her and him had went on and had a discussion with Spider, I believe it was. And when they were having this discussion, there was just a lot that was pouring out in this conversation. So Jag was basically accusing the husband of allowing one of the men at the barbershop, which we all remember the infamous barbershop video where Jag was rubbing ashes from her son allegedly on her face. Solar was doing the same. They were trying to fight, and Goomba was actually fighting Solar. We all remember what happened there. Well, in this interview, she said that she was slammed to the ground by one of the men in the barbershop. And, she was really upset with Goomba for him allowing that to happen. Okay. That's her husband. She expected him to protect her, and she felt that he didn't do so. So she began to talk about that, and then she talked about, how, basically she doesn't have any, she didn't say these words, but it came out like as if she doesn't have much respect for Goomba because she pays all the bills in the house, she pays everything in the household, and so forth, right? Or pretty much most of the household she's paying for. So that's what came out in the conversation. Like, she was telling him, you don't get to tell me what to do and who to hang around and what men to be around and all that stuff if you're not paying the cost to be the boss. And I'm like, whoa. So after after hearing that and hearing that part of the conversation and stuff, and there was more that was said, I kind of felt sorry for Goomba. Like I felt like maybe Jag is just Jag, and she's animated. Everybody knows her. But she said a lot of things. There was one other thing that she said I want to point out was that if it wasn't for her, nobody would know him, which is really probably true. I mean, let's be honest. We probably would honestly not know who this guy was if it wasn't for Jaguar Wright. Let's just keep it a beat. But at the end of the day, it sounds like there's almost a competition there, like as if, hey, you're never going to be bigger than me because I'm the one that put you on, right? And then kind of saying at the same time, oh, I want to see him successful. I'm so proud of him. I'm so happy for him. Like, I think it's kind of both of them going on there, I definitely think she wears the pants in the relationship. I definitely think that she makes all the decisions in the relationship. And I think he kind of just goes along with whatever she says. The problem with that, with women like myself, who are strong women, we can't have a simp of a man. We can't have a man who is simping around behind us and just kind of doing everything we want us, them to do, and just never giving any pushback on stuff, right? Because if that's the case, then a woman like that will run over top of a man like that, right? Will not necessarily take advantage of him, but will definitely run over top of him and make decisions as if she's the male in the relationship, as if she's the man in the relationship. And, that's just kind of what I'm picking up from them and what's going on with them. But hopefully they'll get their shit together because, listen, girl, I don't know what was going on with Jag yesterday. All I can say is she hasn't been on her medication, allegedly. And this isn't alleged, really, because this is what she is saying. She says that her medication is back in Dallas. She's in Chicago, okay? And she didn't have her medication. She actually mentioned lithium and said that lithium, she didn't have her lithium with her, and that is why she was going off in the airport, right? She did get on Sean Davy Way's show. Shout out to Sean Davy Way. And she also went on the Official King Payne show last night. She talked with both of them and told them kind of what happened, in the process of everything that we saw in the videos yesterday. And for those of you who don't know, Jaguar was attempting to go back to Dallas yesterday from Chicago, and she was retained by TSA. And she claims that it was, they were holding her there. She didn't know why. It did seem, based on the video that we seen, that they were kind of delaying her bags being given to her and that sort of thing, right? It did look like that. What I do know about flying and what I think a lot of people know about flying is, they're no longer allowed just anything and everything just to go on before you get on that plane, okay? So after September 11th, there was a lot of changes with how we fly in the U.S., okay? At the end of the day, if you are visibly kind of doing certain things that are giving them an indication that there's some type of breakdown going on, they may not let you fly, okay? They very well may not let you get on that plane because they don't want you to be a disturbance on the plane, okay? That is kind of the idea that TSA takes. They also will put that information, across the board through different airports, okay? So you'll be kind of like on not necessarily a no-fly list, but you will be on that list just saying, hey, watch this person or whatever the case may be. So that might very well be what's going on with Jaguar, right? Because we really didn't know and didn't see what happened prior to that. We do know that there was some type of altercation. We know that they called the cops, right? We know that they called security. We know that the black guy that was standing there with the glasses on, he was having some type of altercation with her. And as staff at the airport, they really do have a job to keep the people on that plane safe, okay? So even if she didn't have any intentions of doing anything to anybody or anything like that, I do think she had intended to just fly home, and be her regular Jaguar self. But they have a job to do, okay? And at the end of the day, they are not going to just allow any type of disturbance to go on that plane. So Jaguar needs to take her medications. Okay, she needs to be properly medicated, and go through proper therapy so that she can address these issues that she is experiencing, and then she can live a healthy life. Okay, I don't see anything wrong with going to therapy and getting the mental help that you need and doing what you got to do so that you can live a healthy lifestyle. And I think that is important right now. So hopefully she will get home as soon as possible and get that done. There was a lot of other things that she talked about last night on King Payne's show, as well as Sean Davy Wade's show, that to me is speculation. And I'm going to tell you the reason I feel that way. We know for a fact that she is taking medications, okay? We know for a fact that she is not on those medications. We also know for a fact that it appears that she is having psychotic breaks here and there, okay? So with these types of things and being on and off medications, you can have delusions. There's all kinds of stuff that could be happening. So she very well may be saying things that aren't in fact going on, okay? And I'm not saying that that's the case. We don't know, right? We can only speculate on this. But I encourage her to get the help that she needs and to get on those medications, to get used to those medications, to adjust to them, and to do whatever she needs to do so that, again, she's not continuing to have these types of episodes. Another thing that bothered me about Goomba's story was when he talked about his medications, and because he takes medicines as well. He has PTSD from being in the military, and being first line in the military and seeing a lot of things in Iraq. He talked about how when they were, they were having this altercation, he and Jag, and how he was trying to get back to his medications. And she was just like, no, I want to get crawfish. I want to go to this person's house. I want to do this. I want to do that. That should be a priority for both of them. You know what I'm saying? Like, if they know they have medications that they need to be taking, I'm not understanding why they're traveling without their medications, right? Like, why? How are you in Chicago and you don't have your medication with you? How are you in wherever y'all were, Louisiana, and you don't have your medication with you? Those are things you should have anyway, right? Because that's part of what you're dealing with. That's part of what you're experiencing. That's kind of part of what you are going through. So there really is no excuse for you not to have those things. And that's all I got to say about Jag and about Goomba here. Let's get into Larry Reid and what's going on with that. Now, there was a lot of stuff that happened this week with Conscious TV and with Armand Wiggins and them going back and forth and everything. And I mean, it was funny, you know what I mean? I'm not going to lie. Armand is a funny guy. Conscious is a funny guy. They both were just kind of going back and forth, and it was just kind of funny just watching the situation, okay? But what's not funny is what is going on with this situation, and it's the Larry Reid situation. Unfortunately, Larry has started to admit to a lot of the things that Levantre is saying. And one of the things that he is trying to do, but he keeps going back on, is admitting that, he said he didn't even know the guy. Then he ended up saying, yeah, I knew him, but I met him when he was much older, and all this stuff. And I've never had a sexual relationship with him. Then he ended up saying he did, and there was some inappropriate conversations and this and this and this. But he kept trying to insist that he was 18 and so forth. But shout out to the official King Payne show. Again, I'm going to put a link to this video in my description box because I want you guys to hear the points that King Payne made, okay? And what he said was that Larry Reid actually admits that this young man was in his home and that inappropriate behavior was happening, but while this man, before he was 18 years old, okay? And it had to be around 15. The reason why is because the man was born in 1990, okay? So in 2009, when Larry is claiming that he put him out of his house, Larry claims that he was 18 that year. okay, and that he had put him out the house, and that he had went to live with this girl. I did some math on this, and I was trying to like figure out exactly the numbers, and I did get to the numbers, and the boy would have turned 19 that year in 2009. Okay, in October of 2009, he would have turned 19. So that would have meant that he was living with Larry prior to 2009. He was living there, and the very same things that Larry is corroborating, that Levontre is saying, actually happened when he was a minor. It had to have happened when he was a minor, okay? Because if he was 18 in the beginning of 2009, then in 2008, he was 17, he was 16, 15, and go back and forth. So I'm going to need Larry again to just take responsibility for this, because at the end of the day, his own church members, and like I said, I'm going to put a link to this in the description box. His own church members were corroborating that no, Levontre came into the ministry at 15 years old, and he moved into the house at 15 years old. So we're all aware of the fact now that everybody is on the same page about when this young man moved into Larry Reid's house. Larry Reid is already admitting, these are facts, because this is what Larry is saying. He is admitting that he has been alone with Levontre in his bedroom. He is admitting to giving him $60 for favors in his bedroom. He's admitting all of the things that Levontre is saying. So for everybody who is saying that Levontre is a liar and he's lying, please, I need you to step back, and I need you to hear your friend admitting what Levontre has been saying. Now, he is not admitting to the words themselves. He's not saying, yes, for sure, I M-worded him. He's not using those words, but he is telling you what happened, period. And we are going to go by the facts around here. We are not adding emotions. We're not adding feelings. We're not adding friendships. We're not adding any of that. We are adding facts. And the facts of the matter are Larry Reid has, in fact, admitted to this stuff. Now, let's talk about the mom, because I did listen to the video with Tasha and the mother, okay? I watched it on the app first, and then, of course, I watched it with the world. I have issues with the mom, okay? And the reason why is because she had more than one child, and she left those children here in the States to go and do quote unquote ministry for other people while her children were living with someone else. Okay. We're not going to just brush over that. Okay. Because at the end of the day, I understand that Levontre has been an alleged victim. Okay. And I think that the ultimate goal here is to get justice for Levontre, right? But I also am not going to just brush over what's happened with the mom, because again, this is also how people become victims, right? How children become victims. When parents are not around, when parents are leaving their children in the care of someone else, when parents are not paying attention to what is happening in the lives of their children, right? This is how children become victims. How do you go off and claim that God is telling you to go off to another land and quote unquote minister and give godly advice and pastoral advice to other people in other families, and your family isn't even being taken care of? That makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. One of the beauties of being a Muslim at one time, when I was in the religion heavy, that I learned was the difference between Islam and Christianity, was to put your family first. Because in Islam, that's not always the case. I mean, in Christianity, that's not always the case, right? Sometimes they will tell you to go ahead and put the church first. Go ahead and put ministry first. Go ahead and put money into tithing and so forth first before you even feed your own family. And they will tell you this like, hey, have faith, right? That God is going to bring your family through. But you need to give your money that you have that God gave you. You need to give that money to the church, or you need to give that money to the ministry. But God, because you're doing that, God will bless you. There is some truth to that. Okay. There's definitely some truth in tithing, meaning like, giving back into the community. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to give it to the church. It could be giving back to the mothers, giving back to the children, going and giving out school supplies or anything like that. It could be anything like that, right? Just putting back into the earth, putting back into the community. But you got to take care of your family first. You got to make sure that your kids are taken care of. You got to make sure that your household is cleaned up and that everything there is straight, right? Nothing is perfect, but you can at least be trying at home before you're doing anything outside your home. And that's all I'm saying, right? I can't put on my vest as a community activist and be out here giving back to the community, and I ain't got shit in my household. I don't have nothing going on for my kids, right? I'm giving out book bags to the community and I'm not giving book bags to my own kids. I'm not making sure that my own kids have supplies, right? That doesn't make sense. And there's no way that you can call that something from God. Something like that would make me question a God like that. What type of God are you listening to that's got you telling you to move halfway across the world and leave your minor children to minister, quote unquote, to other people? That makes no sense. That makes no sense. I'm assuming it was a man involved in that, right? There was some other man, that you were dating. I think that she had mentioned something of that nature, dating some guy in the islands, And then even when Levante and them told her what was going on, her answer to them was, that's not even possible. How is this possible? How is that even possible? It was possible because you left your son there. That's why it was possible. Because you left your son with an alleged predator. That's how it becomes possible. So I'm going to need parents to step up too, right? To make sure that we are much more proactive in the lives of our children. These types of things can happen so fast, it's not even funny. Just that quickly. I went over a video the other day with binary code and how quickly a person can become a victim just by what things that people are saying or how people are moving, right? And just that fast, her son became a victim because she was off in La La Land doing God's work, quote unquote. And we got to stop hiding behind God and the church and leaving that stuff, just up to God to take care of. Because as gods, we have the ability to make specific changes in our lives and to make sure that our children are well protected and they would be protected better than anybody else. We would protect them better than anybody else could protect them. So we need to start pulling on our own source, pulling on ourselves, and pulling on us for the power we need to protect and take care of our kids. We can't rely on other people to do that because that is what leads to victimization of children. Some of it, not all of it, but that's just a part. And I wanted to talk about that. So shout out to y'all for being patient with me on that. Let's go ahead and get into a quick topic regarding this sector. Now, there's two things that I wanted to bring up. One of them was Verla and the phone call that she recorded from Dr. Nikki. Okay. Now, everybody knows me and Dr. Nikki are not on the best of terms. I haven't even spoken with her. But I will say that I did hear the conversation that took place between her and between Verla. I will also say that I felt like that conversation was private. That wasn't something that I thought she intended to bring out to the sector, right? But there's two parts to that I wanted to put my 2 cents in on, whether folks like it or not. Number one, yes, I do think Verla was wrong for recording the conversation without Nikki's permission. I do think that was wrong, okay? But I also think that Nikki likes to take advantage of people that she thinks are less than her. Okay? That happens all the time with Nikki. That's not something new. That's not something different. Okay? And that is my opinion. And I am entitled to my opinion. Okay? Now, what I think is Nikki tried to have a conversation with a person that she has told me she thinks is slow. Okay? And having that conversation, I think that she tried to take advantage of of um, of Verla's emotions. Okay, I think that she tries to pull on certain people for favor. Okay, and I think that she tried to do that with Verla in this situation, and I think she was wrong. Um, but I do think that she should not have been recorded, and I don't think that that information should have been put out to the public, right? I do think that she shared that in confidence with her, as what happened with me in Breaking the Culture when I shared what I felt about Nikki in confidence to Breaking the Culture, right? But I want Nikki to get this point with this situation because she did kind of the same thing. And, you have the right, Nikki, to have conversations with people. You have the right, Nikki, to discuss your feelings and your emotions with other people. Okay. You can vent to people who you vent to, and you have the right to do that. Nobody is above that, right? Nobody is literally above that. So neither are you. People can vent to people about you as well. The same way that you vented to her and talked about me and talked about Shakim and everybody else, okay, is the same way that people can vent about you. People may not like you. They may not agree with you. And they might talk about your ass, okay? Like literally. And that is okay. Not understanding why you set aside on a pedestal different from everybody else. Literally, what Verla did was just prove to the sector what I've been saying, what Shakim has been saying, what everybody else has been saying. Okay? That you tend to do and kind of say, do as I say and not as I do. Okay? I don't want you doing this and I don't want you doing that. And don't talk about me and don't put me out there and don't feel no type of way about me. But I could feel any type of way I want. I could say anything I want. I could feel how I want. And I can say that to who I want to. And you better not have nothing to say about it. That's literally what you be doing. So I'm going to need you to allow everybody else to be themselves the way that you are allowed to be yourself. The only thing that you don't get about being yourself is that you actually can be yourself, which is something I've been telling you for a long time. You don't have to pretend to be anything that you're not. You don't have to pretend that you're this great, wonderful person with everything is so perfect in your life. You don't have to pretend that shit. You can be the Nikki that you are, because that Nikki is actually pretty fucking cool. It's the stuck up Nikki, the Nikki that she want everybody to believe she is, that gets on my goddamn nerves. Okay, and that's just facts. It is what it is. But at the end of the day, just like you are who you are, and just like you want to vent and you want to have a conversation about folks and you want to feel some type of way about folks, is the same way people feel about you, Nikki. And again, you are not above that. Nobody, you don't get to, be this super princess that nobody ever speaks on. You are not the Queen of England. Okay. You are Nikki Proctor Walden. Okay. And it's okay. You're fine who you are. But if people don't like you, or if people will have something to say about you, they have that right. And that's just that. Now, let's move on to something that Dr. Nikki said. And it was two things that she said. And I am a bit concerned about this for Verla. Okay. She said, I have something else for you to record and broadcast. I just spoke with an attorney in Illinois. I discovered how egregious the crime is you committed. The SECKTAH paralegal should have advised you that it is a felony punishable by fines and jail time. Well, yeah, it is possibly, you'd have to go through an extensive amount of stuff to get that done. But I would hope that Nikki wouldn't try to pursue criminal charges against her behind this, right? Because again, you knew who and what you were dealing with when you had that conversation with her. Okay? And this is part of the part where maybe you need to take a step back and just kind of look at how you've been moving on these YouTube streets, okay? And stop trying to blame everybody else for everything, because it just might be you, sis, okay? At the end of the day, you knew what you were dealing with when you picked up that phone and had that conversation with Verla. All right. You ran the risk of having this type of conversation and this conversation being leaked. I'm not saying that it was right. It wasn't. But I don't think that it deserves you going after her criminally. I think that's picking on her at that point. Because again, like I said, you knew what you were dealing with when you picked up the phone, allegedly, because of what you've told me, how you feel about her and others in the sector. So let's not pretend, that you don't already think that she has a cognitive disorder. And then you would turn around and try to sue her and try to pursue her criminally and all this. Like, stop trying to save face for the sector and just move on, right? People don't like you in the sector. It is what it is. I don't like you. Others don't like you. We don't have to be sued because we don't like you. Just move on. There's people that don't fuck with me in this sector. Okay, it's fine. We're moving on. I'm not about to sue these niggas. I'm not about to go around trying to hear everything that everybody's saying and what this person said and all. I don't care. Because it's called being grown and moving the fuck on. Okay? Bottom line. So I just wanted to say that in regards to that situation. But again, you're entitled to do whatever you feel. You're grown. So if you feel like picking down and punching down on someone who you feel has a cognitive disorder, then so be it. So be it, Miss PhD. Now, let's go ahead and get into something else that Nikki said, which I am not about to brush the fuck over, okay? And then also, I'm going to go to AAS's community wall because they both talked about this. Nikki says, by the way, at Muslim, I hope you are not still sending Shakim people's criminal records. He told me that you gave him remixes and Photon DNA's mugshot and criminal history. That's abuse of your privileges as a bail bondsman. Please do not contact me anymore via email to share with me information about AAS and Rev G. And actually, I went back and I put a like on that comment. Okay. And I'm going to tell y'all why. A long time ago, Abraham, aka Muslim, I had asked you some questions about your sketchy behavior and what I thought was sketchy, right? And the reason why is because I noticed you would come back and say stuff to me by email, like trying to egg on arguments or conversations. Like recently, you sent me something about Carrie Ann. You were trying to get me to go back and forth with Carrie Ann with something that she was saying about me, right? I didn't even go and listen to it because I already knew you're messy. And I just knew, you just like the female, you like to hide your hands. You like to put stuff out there and then hide your hands, right? I remember asking you about something like that on a panel and saying that you're very messy and that you do one thing and then you say something else on the other end. And then you act like, you're just innocent, And I really, really wonder if there is some fact to what Nikki is talking about. I'm not saying that she's lying because I don't think she is. I just think that she heard it from someone else, right? Like heard it through Shakim or whatever. And I just wonder if what she's saying is true. Because if you are, right, and if you're really doing stuff like that, then it also makes me wonder about other people's information that is being leaked in the sector and how we out here blaming AAS for it, right? But is this nigga really behind this shit? Because you do be all over the place in different spaces and in different spots. You do be sending me stuff, trying to get stuff started between me and Carrie Ann and trying to get stuff going between this person and that person. You've done that multiple times, and you're doing that within the sector. I remember almost 2 years ago, you had asked me and Shakim for our address because you wanted to send us a hookah. I didn't want no hookah from you. I don't even smoke hookah, so I really didn't want a hookah. I wasn't interested in it. But Shakim ended up giving you his address for the hookah. And he did get the hookah sent to him. And it wasn't too long after that that he was getting doxxed. It wasn't too long after that that Shakim was getting doxxed. Now, again, I'm not saying you did it because I can't confirm that. But I can say that while you've been lurking around this sector, this black space, right, as a non-black man, as a bail bondsman, and you've told us you're a bail bondsman, it is amazing that there is a whole lot of doxing happening around here. And you have never been doxed, and nothing has ever come out about you, right, other than your name, because that comes up on the email. But nothing has ever come out about you. But everything is always coming out about everybody else in this sector, right? And it's always a bunch of jumbled mess. Like it'd be 1 minute, this person is a criminal. The next minute, this person, well, they might have been a criminal, but it was 20 years ago. And you know what I mean? Like it's just a bunch of stuff that's always coming out. And when they turn around and the smoke clears, you always standing in the room. So I just wonder if you really are doing shit like that. And I'll tell you, Abraham, if you are, sir, you got a problem. You got a real fucking problem. That is a hell of a fucking fine and a hell of a jail sentence in the state of New Jersey where you're located. And I'm going to need you to pull up if you're actually doing that kind of stuff, because you got a major, major issue on your hands. If people like Photon and others find out that you're actually pulling their criminal history and handing that to people in this sector for content, you are going to have a big problem, sir. So, yeah, I just wanted to bring that up, that Nikki brought that up, and AAS talked about it too. I'm going to go to her page real quick and talk about this. Because, yeah, here it is right here. She said the AFW, and we all know this is her always trying to make the AFWs look like they ain't never did nothing. They ain't never doxed nobody and all. They've been participating in this type of behavior for a long time. And I don't know, maybe she's now trying to just throw you out the bus, and throw you under the bus, Muslim. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. But all I'm saying is she's saying that the AFW way is courageous, not cowardly like Nikki Proctor Walden, allegedly, guys. So clearly displayed. Nikki Proctor posted a message claiming that someone named Muslim, and she put that in quotes, as if she doesn't know him, an alleged bail bondsman, illegally accessed criminal background info, including mugshots of certain individuals in and around the Umar Johnson sector. The AFW way is to file behind-the-scenes complaints or drop the subject's legal name, city, and name of the entity where the alleged illegal activity occurred. This way, those impacted can pursue a lawful remedy, and members of the public can also file complaints. It's possible that NPW also used Muslim to put together a fake criminal profile on me, AAS. I don't know what she's talking about. NPW, however, was rebuffed in her attempts to have others else post the bogus info on their channels. This is a true mark of an out-of-control coward. If true, it would certainly explain NPW's confidence in declaring that I have a criminal record. So now that NPW is mad at Muslim for whatever reason, NPW decides to spill the greasy beans, possibly on herself as well. AFW doesn't engage in revenge or rebound complaints. Now that's a motherfucking lie. She know that's a lie. AFW files complaints after multiple warnings fail to bring a cessation to illegal and or harassing conduct. Or cessation. That's what she was trying to say. Cessation to illegal or harassing conduct. Well, that is a damn lie, AAS. You have most definitely went after Nikki and many others in the sector relentlessly. You have done that with, let me see your transcript, relentlessly. You have done that with me. You have done that with D. Durrell relentlessly. You have gone after multiple people in the sector for no reason whatsoever. Okay. What does get me is that with this post, you were trying to thwart everybody's attention from Muslim to Nikki, as if now Nikki is responsible for what Muslim is allegedly doing. Now, we all know that Nikki works at a college. Nikki is a PhD. She's not involved in bail bondsmen. She's not involved in anything like that. Okay. So Nikki wouldn't have any connections with such a thing. She would, however, if Muslim was connected, I could see how she, where AAS may possibly be getting that from. But is AAS also using Muslim, right? Like allegedly. Not that I'm saying this actually happened, because I don't know. I can only speculate based off of what's being said, okay? But AAS has also been involved in getting people's information, doxing people, putting people's information out on file, as she just admitted, without saying really, she's saying, well, we will drop their information. Well, that's fucking doxing, okay? You've been doxing people for the longest time. You just admitted to it, okay? Yes. So, yes, you've been doxing people on these YouTube streets in this sector for the longest time, literally dropping people's locations, dropping people's names, addresses, entities where they work, all this other stuff that you've been doing. How are you getting that information? Because when you got in here, you was like, quote unquote, Muslim and alleged bail bondsman. Like you don't know who Muslim is. Like you don't know he's a bail bondsman. So AAS, you be lurking around in this sector like everybody else. You know everything that everybody talks about, probably more than anybody else in the sector. So you know damn well what's up with Muslim. And now the connections are coming together. It's a wonder, like I said, are you trying to thwart everybody's attention from Muslim to Nikki and trying to make this look like this is Nikki's, thing and Nikki is doing this when you know it's Muslim? Things that make you go, Now, again, I can't confirm or deny. Muslim, you constantly do come into my show. You watch my channel. You'll eventually see this if you don't right now. But yeah, it is quite questionable to me what is going on with this Muslim situation, because I've always questioned Muslim ever since I noticed how messy he was a while back. I've questioned him. Like he'll say one thing to me and then I'll catch him on a panel if he thinks I'm not there. And he's talking about the same situation as if he, with a forked tongue. I've seen him do that multiple times. I've actually seen him even with, calling the N-word, and people are calling him out for it. And then we've got people that just ignore it or say, oh, he's a Muslim, so, it's okay, and that kind of shit. We need to be paying attention more to what's going on with Abraham. I ain't going to say his last name, but we need to be paying attention much more to what's going on with Muslim. Because again, how is it that people's information is getting out, getting thwarted, changed, all kinds of stuff? It's got some truth to it, but then the lies come in, Where is that stuff coming from? But again, if you're really doing that, Abraham, you got a problem. You have a major, 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 major problem. And again, it doesn't matter what you try to do, how you try to erase things and how you try to get rid of things and how you get rid of computers and all that stuff. There's a thing called servers, right? There's some stuff that just never gets erased, especially from programs like LexisNexis. It just never goes anywhere. It's in a cloud. They're going to find it. So, all right, guys. Well, listen, I appreciate you, Alan, for being in the building. Shout out to you. You said, good morning, Miss T. Pre. And you said the AFW has definitely doxed me. Okay. And she was out here doxing a bunch of people. Hey, double exposure. I appreciate you being in the building. You said she is definitely a Svengali, as most definitely. Listen, guys, I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Shout out to y'all for listening in to the SECKTAH topics, also to the Larry Reid situation, and for Jaguar. And I will talk to you guys later, guys. Peace, guys. Thank you guys again.